That's what it is. It is infantilism, because unlimited credit cards for our elected leaders have become an entitlement, like President Obama flying personal chefs into the White House, or like Speaker Pelosi, who has been busy sticking the taxpayer with her $100,000 bar tab for alcohol on the military jets that she's flying. Or Harry Reid. Well, we may not have to worry about Harry Reid much longer. Oh, let's have fun. The point of all this is that what has crippled GM, what's crippled Chrysler, what has crippled all of the public employee unions, it was promising these Ponzi scheme style benefits and pension benefits with absolutely no reasonable way of paying them off, which reflects another value that all of us cherish, and it's this: thou shalt not covet what does not belong to us. And so I think it's important that we say that it isn't our values, our shared timeless values that have changed, is it? It's our leaders that have changed. Think of that. Our values are the same, but the leaders are no longer reflecting us. They're no longer reflecting our values. So why does all this matter? Why is this important? People ask me that. Why does it matter? Why don't we just go on and live our lives? What's all this business about saving America? It matters for this reason, because the forefathers thought about us when they were at the winter of Valley Forge, and when the blood flowed at Gettysburg, and when our forefathers landed at Omaha Beach on a day that no American should ever forget. What kept them going was us. They fought for us, and we need to be worthy of that sacrifice that they laid their lives down to secure for us. Think for a moment of what they have done for us. Think for a moment how expensive this concept called liberty, this experiment in America has been. Think of the cost that is laid down over the years. You've heard from our previous speaker about the costs during the Revolutionary War times. We know of the hundreds of thousands of Americans who lost their lives at Gettysburg and during the course of the Civil War. And we know as recently as World War II, and even today in Afghanistan and Iraq, how costly that sacrifice is. Freedom isn't free. And because of that, we're reminded of just one story I want to leave with you today, and it's this. It was 67 years ago, on February 3rd in 1943, when it was the height of World War II, when no one had any idea how the conflict would conclude. We had a madman in the European theater called Adolf Hitler, who was poised and bent on taking over world domination. We had Tojo in Japan, who had brought about the worst tragedy on American soil at Pearl Harbor. And to that end, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds joined up in the United States military. A lot of them fudged their age so that they could get in. So eager were they to serve and the cause of America and to win this war. Let me tell you about one particular incident during World War II. There was a convoy of 3 ships that departed from the United States. The second ship in the convoy was called the Dorchester. There were well over 900 young, eager, new GIs that had gotten on board the Dorchester. During the course of that voyage, about 150 miles west of Greenland, the ship's captain got a message that there were German U-2 boats and German Nazi submarines that were patrolling the waters west of Greenland. And so that evening, the captain told all the young soldiers aboard, "Men, wear your uniforms when you sleep tonight and wear your life jackets." The men went down into the hold. A lot of these guys were 17, 18, 19 years of age. 900 men under the hold. It was hot down there. It was uncomfortable. They didn't feel like wearing their life jackets or wearing their uniforms. So like a lot of young guys, they stripped down into what those guys wear at that age when they go to bed. And along about 1 o'clock in the morning, a periscope broke through the icy, frigid waters. February 3rd, ice was spraying in the air, black as night, and a periscope came up. And in the crosshairs of that periscope, the Nazi submarine identified the Dorchester, fired a torpedo, fired a second one, and the second one hit the flank of the Dorchester head on. And in a moment, hell's fury was opened up. And in that moment, scores of American GIs lost their lives, and water poured in the flank of the Dorchester. The lights went out, the power was off, the radio was off, water was pouring in, screams were heard, bodies were killed, bodies were maimed, blood was everywhere. No one could see anything. It was freezing cold. They were shocked out of their minds. They were screams, there were cries. The boys didn't know what to do. But there were 4 chaplains that were in that hold. And they said, courage, boys, calm, men, up the stairs, up to the deck. And the 4 chaplains, one was a Catholic priest. His name was Father Washington. One was a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Good. There was a Dutch Reformed minister, and there was a Methodist minister. They had their wits and their hearts about them, and their faith was about them. And they shepherded as many men as they could up to the icy, freezing cold of the deck. And the wind slapped the faces of the young GIs, and they were terrified. Water was pouring into the ship. And the chaplains look around. They knew they needed to get life jackets on the remaining men that they had if there was any way to save them. And so the chaplains found a storage locker on the main deck. They opened it up, and they pulled out the life jackets as quickly as they could. And it said, courage, men, calm, come here. God is with us. And they put the life jackets on, one by one, on the shaking bodies of these GIs, and they hooked the men into the life jackets until there was more boys than there were life jackets. And so wordlessly, the 4 chaplains removed their own life jackets, and they put them on the heads and on the bodies of our American GIs. And they said, courage, calm, have faith, men. God is with us. And they proved the Holy Scripture that says, greater love hath no man than this, but that he lay down his life for his friends. And witnesses recorded it was one of the greatest acts of bravery they had ever observed. Because you see, it was only something over 200 men that survived that torpedo attack. And it was only 20 minutes until the ship sank from the point of impact. You see, this is the level of greatness from which we descend. We not only stand on their shoulders, it is now ours to continue that 234 link of liberty, forged chain by chain, from generation to generation. It has never been easy. It has never been free. And so now it's ours. Now it's ours. And so I ask you, are you up to the challenge? Are you willing to do your part? Are you willing to go forward? Are you willing to honor their memory? And are you willing to do this so that generations yet unborn will know the unparalleled liberty that has been given, that God has shed his grace on the United States of America? I ask you that today. And I thank you for allowing me to speak to you this morning. Thank you very much.
Michele Bachmann, ladies and gentlemen. You can see why she strikes fear into the hearts of every liberal in America. Thank God.